Well, thank you. Thanks for joining us for our November edition of our CIO and EdTech Leaders Webcast. I'm David Couch with the Department of Education. We do this once a month for those that are watching for the first time. We do this once a month with our EdTech leaders across the state, but also our OET staff is part of this, and you can see them on the screens. We also have a variety of KETS partners, Kentucky Education Technology System partners that we invite be our vendor partners, our state agency partners, our educational cooperative partners. So they're all send invites. The invite you have is a little bit different than the one I send to them, but we have a large audience. And just so you know, that we're the only one in the United States that does this, a webcast and also a written summary. The next thing I'd like to share with you, I walked in the office today in the Sauer building, and there was a letter waiting for me on my desk. Which I thought would be appropriate for me to share with the audience. Just sometimes some things happen, you go, this is probably an appropriate thing to share, and a good timing thing to share it. So it's dated November 9th, so it's taken a little bit to get here. So and I'll share with you who it came from, but it's a pretty neat thing. You know, as I talked about, we have a variety of partners. We have our district partners, we have our cooperative partners, but we also have our vendor partners that play a huge role in what we do and what we've done, you know, since 1992. So it starts out with David with the rate of change in information technology, 25 years, is very likely equal to 50 years in most other industries. That's why celebrating our 25th anniversary is so special to everyone here. Not too many technology companies make it that long. When Dave Savigny left IBM to form DMD Data Systems, I'm sure he never envisioned the type of company we would become, or the amazing people we would have on our team. And Jeff, he puts in here, many of which are former STLP students. Over the years, as technology improved and shared services by cloud providers evolved, as automation enabled rapid growth, and as the internet and broadband evolved into what it is today, we all had to change. The one thing that never changed over the years is the shared vision and core values of both OET and our company to leverage technology to improve education and create a better Kentucky. Thank you for having faith in our company to add value and deliver on time as promised, when other much larger companies could cast fear and doubt on our ability to execute. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to earn your business and work hard to succeed, but most of all, thank you for your partnership we have had over the past 25 years. Because of this partnership, the lives of so many Kentucky families have been changed forever. That's a great note to get. This is from Marshall Butler, president of Volta. So let me tell you why this is special on today. Last week, there's a TV show called Comment on Kentucky. It was run by a guy named Al Smith, who was very proud to be a Kentuckian, and every Friday he shared the stories around our state. He died earlier this year, and so there was a celebration to honor his life. And KT ran that special last Friday, and I was fortunate enough to be in the audience. I'm a board member of the Kentucky Educational Television, and so I got to be there during the filming on Wednesday. And I ran into a guy named Dave Savigny, who's mentioned in this note. The reason this is important, I want to mention this now, talking about what a good partner is and a good KETS partner is. Dave Savigny and DMD are the example of that. And the vendor partners that I meet with, when you do that once a year, I give the example of Dave Savigny and DMD. And it was great at this event last Wednesday to be able to share with his wife, who was in attendance. And I haven't seen, like Dave, I want to say in 10 or 15 years, not spoken to him. Not because we're angry at each other, just not run into him. So let me tell you the significance of what DMD did. While cloud-based computing mentioned in this note is very commonplace, it wasn't very commonplace 10 years ago. In fact, we were looked at as, what are you doing going to the cloud? We had just done, Chuck, as you remember, we had just done Microsoft Exchange, the first in the United States to do that in K-12 and to do it to that scale of any organization in the world. As we got a note, I can't remember how long ago, from one of the former Microsoft folks that said he remembered fondly back on the time it was the largest scale ever done on Earth, that kind of transition that we had done, which gave us the basis to move to cloud-based computing for the financial management system. There was a key component, the company called DMD, which some of you may not remember or even know, led by Dave Savigny, like say a former IBM leader, then became the president of DMD. DMD sold the file servers to every school district for their financial management. And while time can go by and you can just think this is commonplace, it was a really big deal for the transition from a financial server that the chief financial officer can look at every day to say that's going to be in the cloud, right? I mean, they can see it. Now, the thing that DMD could have done, which they did not do, was cast fear, cast anxiety with their district customers and saying, you should not do this. And they could have fought the future of cloud-based computing. But the most impressive thing about Dave Savigny and this company, DMD, which has turned into Volta, is even though they took a major financial hit, meaning they no longer served, they no longer provided and sold the servers to 171 school districts, the financial management servers, and all that came along with that. But I remember having that discussion with Dave. He said, but you know what? This is the right thing to do. This is the future. So while it hurt them within their company to take that hit financially, he knew it was the right thing to do. And those are the kind of partners that you want. And and all these years later, we can see the impact that cloud-based computing has made, like in ice storms. In their financial management system, when you're having the cloud, you can still run payroll, even though the ice storm or even a fire that we had in one district, and they were able to do payroll the next week. You can still do things and operate. And obviously during the pandemic, we saw the tremendous role that it played. So I always have great admiration for companies like this and organizations that don't look at the short term or just not focused in on how can I get a big PR thing done or even sales quotas. They're focused on the long term, and they are a partner with you. Our biggest advances in Kentucky K-12 over my past 30 years have been this great partnership that we've had with districts and we've had with partners like this company. And also, I would predate this one. It was most people on this webcast don't even know what token ring is. But Dave Savigny worked with a company called IBM, and they sold token ring. And for you don't know how that works, is they had a token ring cable, big, thick token ring cable. And once you put that cable in, really, you could only buy token ring, which, by the way, was 2/3 more in cost than regular Ethernet. Once again, going back in time, I met with IBM and their engineers. And even though that was a great technology, K-12 did not use 2/3 of it. So we were paying 2/3 more than we really should have. And once again, to IBM's credit, they could have spent a lot of time and energy talking with their district customers, classing doubt on that, classing anger toward us. They refrained and did not do that. They also recognized that while that hurt them financially, Ethernet was the future. And they moved along with that. And while their district called them and tried to rev everything up, it didn't rev up. So I appreciate organizations like that partnership to where they have to change themselves. And they could have a financial hit that's taken, but they do it for the greater good for K-12 schools. They're just not looking at sales quotas or a short-term PR thing. They're looking at the long haul. And those are the kind of folks that have made us successful. So that's why this note was so meaningful today. Thanks, Marshall, and thanks, Volta, for your long partnership. And Chuck, I know we're working with them. You'll highlight that here in just a little bit. Is anything else you want to share with us?
Sure, David. As a matter of fact, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Just talk a little bit about an initiative that we're wrapping up for 2021, as well as preparing to launch a new initiative in 2022 that I just want to speak briefly about and then hand it off to Bob. But as all of our districts understand and have just been amazing and awesome and help us complete this Active Directory upgrade, we're in the final couple of phases of that initiative. Right now, we're in the middle of upgrading the virtual domain controllers that set up in Azure, also known as your D3s. We've got about 116 of those completed. And here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be kicking off the final physical phase of the initiative, which is going to be the sanitization, removal, and disposal of the old Active Directory hardware, as well as some minor cleanup of our Ken racks that are in every district. And David, I'm just going to take a minute to also go back and plug the partner that we've got on the ground is our boots on the ground for not only this initiative, but for so many things that we do. I think all of our EdTech leaders can appreciate that when you've got distributed hardware, either in your schools or like we do, okay, at every one of our Ken Hub sites, you got to have a really talented group of people, all right, to help handle all aspects of that from a day-to-day basis. And, as our folks know, we've got several different partners that have a play in the technologies that we have and our point of presence in your district. The one I do want to talk a little bit about, because Volta is the company that's going to be arriving on site to handle the last phase of this Active Directory upgrade. It's not going to be a service impacting effort at all. But I want folks to recognize, as you look to manage distributed hardware, we've had to incorporate somewhat of a different staffing model over the years that's evolved. And Volta does a lot of things for us, and I'm assuming most of our EdTech leaders understand that. When you look at the fact that, our UPSs, our PDUs, server installs, deinstalls, but more importantly, we've also jumped into the as-a-service business with Volta over the last couple of years. So, for example, the current servers that we deployed this past summer were purchased from our newly awarded infrastructure as a service contract that Volta holds, just like they also hold the UPS as a service contract and some other things. And what it allows us to do is to kind of shift some of the responsibility for monitoring and dispatching of that hardware off onto a talented partner. And they just continue to do a great job for us in that space.